Disclaimer, this channel assumes you talk to your DM and that you follow basic tabletop etiquette. If you want to know more about that, link in the description. Anyways, enjoy the video. This is an optimization channel that's been around for 4 years, and I still haven't covered the king of the wizards. The wizard subclass with the best progression in the entire game. It's time to talk about the king who ascends to godhood at level 10. Chronurgy wizard. Welcome to Pack Tactics, where we have almost perfect features. That's right. I don't have a single bad thing to say in this video, which is really rare. This is a Twilight Cleric moment, except it's way stronger. Not only because this subclass is for the best class in the entire game, but also because they get 2 of the best features in the entire game. And they're front-loaded at the same time. This subclass makes Twilight Cleric look pathetic. Well, at specifically level 10, that is.
Oh boy, this is gonna be a fun video! Wait, Kobold, why do you look so weird?
There was recently like a hate thread about me, and they're still upset about the most nothing burger thing ever. And one of them is about circles being squares on a grid, so I decided to double down and become square myself to make Reddit mad. I think that's punk rock.
Kobold, you look like Minecraft!
Gator, I'm not Minecraft.
Minecraft!
Seriously though, if you're looking for a way to quit nasty habits like drawing circles on a grid, then today's sponsor is for you. It's Fume!
It's flavored air you keep in your mouth! It's tasty!
There's no charging or batteries involved. It's a little core you put in the device, which you can bring anywhere. It's 100% nicotine free. The device also has a lot of fidgeting parts for you to play around with to keep your kobold hands busy. It's a good way to relieve stress and curb the urge. As for flavors, there's a dozen of them. And my favorite is the raspberry lemon by far. I'm currently out of this stuff sadly, but anyways, this is an award-winning device and over 500,000 people switched over to Fume to change their nasty habits. If you're interested, go to tryfume.com/packtactics or scan the QR code. That helps me too. For a limited time, if you order the Journey Pack and use the code PACKTACTICS, you'll get a free Fume Topper with the order. Anyways, back to the video. The first feature they get is Chronal Shift. As a reaction, after you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you makes an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can force the creature to re-roll. You make this decision after you see whether the roll succeeds or fails. The target must use the result of the second roll. You can use this feature twice, and you regain any expended uses when you finish a long rest.
Kobold, this is kinda like Silvery Barbs!
Dude, when this came out, no one had ever seen anything like this before. The closest thing was Portent at the time. And then Silvery Barbs eventually came out and kicked everyone in the balls. This feature is worse than this spell and of course Portent. It's got way shorter range, but it's using another resource pool. It's not in conflict with Barbs that much, besides reaction use. So I don't think we should compare powers. I think we should look at this as a different tool, and of course more reaction ammunition. This doesn't just work on your enemies, but it also works on your friends, and yourself as well. Like if your friend fails a deadly save, you can make them re-roll to potentially get a better roll. Maybe you're fighting a shadow dragon and it uses its breath weapon against you. Absorb elements doesn't work against the shadow dragon, but Chronal Shift does, so use Chronal Shift. This re-roll works with advantage and disadvantage to make super advantage or super disadvantage in a way. It's not fully that, because when you use this feature, they have to use the new roll no matter what. And if it's a crit on the reroll, then they manage to crit even if they had disadvantage, which is super funny. But I wouldn't worry about that. You're not using this on attacks. You'll be using this feature for saving throw protection or making an enemy fail against a spell. That can be your spell or your friend's spell. That's what makes this feature fantastic. Most of the time, you're making an enemy fail against your control spell with this feature to shut them down more easily.
Kobold, how is this wizard better than divination? If this feature is weaker than Portent?
Because this is not the only feature they get at level 2 or 3, depending on the version of 5e you're playing. They also get to add their intelligence mod to their initiative like the War Mage, which basically blows them out of the water. And on top of all of that, they get a bonus spell list.
Wait, what?
Chronurgy and Chronurgy wizards are the only subclasses in the game who have access to Dunamancy spells. Normally, you have to find a scroll to learn a Dunamancy spell. You don't need to do that here. And this spell list is very good. There are some serious bangers here. My absolute favorites are Gift of Alacrity, Fortune's Favor, and Dark Star. Oh man, I love Dark Star. That spell is like a black hole. It's super cool. I really need to make a Dunamancy video eventually. I've only talked about Gift of Alacrity like a million times. But yeah, that's the difference. This subclass is loaded with 3 fantastic features right from the get-go. A Divination Wizard has 1 super fantastic feature. That's why Chronurgy Wizard is ahead. It gets more fantastic stuff. If you run out of Portent, you're just a regular wizard at that point. If you run out of Chronal Shift, you still have your initiative bonus, which is the best part of War Wizard. And you most likely have your Gift of Alacrity active, especially if rest casting is allowed. That adds another 1d8 to your initiative. Having a greater chance of going first as a full caster wizard is like god tier level of power. Because if you win, which is very likely to happen most of the time, you set the first debilitating move on the battlefield, which enemies have to react to or recover from. Player initiative has gotten a bit nerfed though, because high CR monsters like liches are out of this world in 2024. Like, look how insane it is, 17 on initiative. That lich is power gaming, but still, like, you're not always gonna fight a lich. You're still gonna fight trash mobs and stuff. Investing into initiative is still incredibly powerful. You should never underestimate the power of going first. Going first can sometimes determine the entire fight. I'll give you an example. You're fighting against Medusas. If you lose initiative against the Medusas, and you don't get your Fog Cloud or Darkness up in time, oh my god, somebody's gonna get petrified. I can give you more examples like the Wolf encounter in Tier 1, but I've talked about that so many times now. And then there's just casters in general, you get the point. Winning initiative is so important. Anyways, next feature, level 6, Momentary Stasis. As an action, you can magically force a large or smaller creature you can see within 60 feet of you to make a con save. Unless the saving throw is a success, the creature is encased in a field of magical energy until the end of your next turn, or until the creature takes any damage. While encased in this way, the creature is incapacitated and has a speed of 0. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your intelligence modifier. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Normally, I would look at this and say this sucks, because it's a single target con save and nothing happens if the creature succeeds. But this is not a spell. It's a feature using a different pool of resources. Really, the best way to look at this is really a better cantrip. It's equivalent to a first level spell. Even though there's like a 50% chance of this actually doing something, if it does actually do something, the shutdown power behind it is powerful. The creature is incapacitated with 0 speed that lasts until the end of your next turn, or until the creature takes any damage. That's quite a bit of time. This is Chronurgy's weakest feature, by the way. And now we're gonna get into the really broken stuff. Arcane Abeyancy. When you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or lower, you can condense the spell's magic into a mote. The spell is frozen in time at the moment of casting and held within a gray bead for 1 hour. Blah 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 blah, a creature holding the bead can use its action to release the spell within, whereupon the bead disappears. The spell uses your spell attack bonus and save DC, and the spell treats the creature who released it as the caster for all other purposes. Once you create a bead with this feature, you can't do so again until you finish a short or long rest.
What the heck?
You can instantly cast a 4th level spell or lower as an action by throwing down a bead once per short rest. And anyone can throw the bead for you and concentrate on the spell. Even a familiar. You can have 2 concentration spells active at the same time. This is by far more crazy than 2024 Cleric's Divine Intervention feature, and it's more consistently used. It's easier to take a short rest than a long rest to refresh the feature. This is one of the best features in the entire game, hands down. Then at level 13, you can hand out 2 beads because you have a simulacrum of yourself. There's no way a Twilight Cleric can keep up with this. Chronurgy wins.
Kobold, what's the best spells to put in the beads?
Mostly the usual strongest concentration spells you can think of, like Hypnotic Pattern or Sleet Storm. But the spells that really stand out are Find Familiar, to give all your allies familiars, Private Sanctum, which makes it so it's impossible for enemies to escape Wall of Force, and strongest of all is Tiny Hut. You can instantly put down a Tiny Hut. If the enemies don't have Dispel Magic, you've automatically won. There's very little they can do. You can justify a default kill. But wait, it gets even crazier. Capstone, Convergent Future. When you or a creature you can see within 60 feet of you make an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can use your reaction to ignore the die roll and decide whether the number rolled is the minimum needed to succeed or one less than that number. When you use this feature, you gain 1 level of exhaustion. Only by finishing a long rest can you remove a level of exhaustion gained in this way. Now this is a capstone with a hefty cost. It can guarantee spells with a save like Planar Binding or Magic Jar to work. Or you can save a friend from something important. Also keep in mind your Simulacrum can also use this feature, which really ramps up the power of this capstone. And once you get True Polymorph, you can polymorph a creature into a Dwagar Despot, and then Magic Jar them. That way, you're immune to exhaustion and can just spam this feature over and over again. That's how you win the game. What more is there to say? That's the Chronurgy Wizard. This is the Optimizer subclass. It's super broken. I've seen these guys many times in play. I've been playing for a very long time, and I think out of all the wizards now, I've seen this one in play the most. Everybody I know just naturally goes to Chronurgy Wizard. These guys are a nightmare to deal with at level 10. Now, should you ban Chronurgy Wizard? Well, it's not really my say, but I believe no. But you can do whatever you want. The thing with wizards in general is, even if they're subclassless, they just break the game naturally anyways. And it's all because of the spells and its combinations. If you nerf or have like a gentleman's agreement on specific spells for the Chronurgy Wizard, like for example, no Tiny Huts in the beads or True Polymorph exploits, then this subclass is mostly fine. I mean, sure, it's still the most powerful subclass in the whole game, but it doesn't make the game stupid. Another thing about breaking the game is it's not always a bad thing. It can potentially open up interesting avenues for DMs where they can focus more on the plot of the story and throw interesting encounters rather than full-on challenges. So that's something to think about. You'll be so surprised. Players really love that. They feel so professional and very powerful in the story. They're expert adventures, you know? You gotta give them that fantasy. But sometimes you don't need to do anything. All you need to do is just run the game. Because, well, the players have already achieved that fantasy. Anyways, one more thing before I end the video. The best build in the entire game is a Peace Chron. That's 1 level in Peace Cleric and then rest in Chronurgy Wizard. I'm talking about 2014, by the way. In 2024, the meta's changed to an Articron. Well, Artie isn't out yet, but it's coming very soon. The point is, this tabletop builds article will basically teach you everything that's broken about Chronurgy Wizards. Link in the description. This is absolutely worth your time if you want to master Wizard. Anyways, end the video. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And follow the Kobold and Gator Dice on Kickstarter. We're going live pretty soon. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye!